Welcome back to the HubSpot Hints Podcast, where we talk with agency leaders and operators about what's actually happening behind the scenes of modern marketing. So today I'm joined by Lisa Zwikl, Chief Strategy Officer at SmartAcre and co-host of her own podcast, the Agency Balance Podcast. Lisa spends her time fixing the systems, processes, and AI that quickly break customer experience. So Lisa, welcome to the show. And to start us off, tell us a little bit about SmartAcre, what you guys do.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Andy. I love talking about HubSpot. It's a big part of what we do at SmartAcre. We are a growth agency, so we're focused on both demand generation and RevOps. And that allows us to uniquely serve our clients in the sense of we all, as marketers, want to have this amazing customer experience. And I think we get the tactics, we get the strategy behind it, but you also need the technology to work and support that. So we do both pieces of that puzzle. So it allows me to think about HubSpot in a very hands-on, tactical yet strategic way. Yeah, I think, everyone as marketers, we talk about attribution. So very tactical example, running an ad campaign, right? You spend all this time and effort into your targeting and amazing copy, and you have graphics, and you feel like you have a really good asset, and you're pumped. You're ready to make marketing dreams come true, and you're making your sales team really happy. And then you hit the launch button and you realize, well, I have leads. Someone's filling out a form, but nothing's happening to them. Nothing's happening next. So in HubSpot and having a CRM solution like that, especially one that can combine marketing, sales, service, all of this data orchestration, being able to connect those dots and have really strong lead to sales handoffs or nurture strategies, or now using tools like buyer intent and company research and sales prospecting agents. There's so much that goes into creating that exceptional experience beyond the lead capture. That's just the start of the journey, but making that all come to life is really where you have to connect those dots. Otherwise, you're just spending money to capture leads and not really do anything with them. And unfortunately, we see that happen often.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think as marketers, as creatives, we love that front end part of the process where you're coming up with the ideas and the creative ways to capture those leads, and maybe even to convert them with the ad side. But you're right. Like if you don't connect the dots, you're going to end up with some issues and some problems later, especially as these companies scale. I remember working with one particular client a few years ago. They're an e-commerce company, and they basically had no system in place to handle all the issues related to returns, negative reviews, sort of like the negative side of like that post-purchase experience. So I'd be curious to hear if you guys have had any customer success stories about running into similar issues and then being able to solve them by implementing some of these strategies that you mentioned.
Yeah. So in terms, our clients come to us often with like a very specific request. And typically we always start by looking under the hood. And usually the problem isn't always exactly what it seems. So whether it's negative feedback or an ad campaign that isn't working, typically when you can take a look into the technology behind it, that's where you start to see, well, actually, it's not necessarily your landing page that's underperforming. It's the fact that you have a bajillion form fields and none of that data is allowing you to do anything with the next step. So in terms of tangible results, I think that's where those aha moments tend to happen, when we can look at the bigger picture and say, you feel like that's the problem, but in reality, it's this thing over here that's creating the friction or the gap in your customer journey. Or before we started talking, you're saying like the leaks in the bucket, right? There's all these
Mhm.
different leaky moments throughout sales funnels and marketing strategies where sometimes the problem isn't always exactly what you think it might be.
If you don't have a way to sort of capture that data and analyze it and figure out what to do with it, then you're left with this inability to take very proactive steps to solve those issues. And so going back to that example of the company that we helped, what we found the founder was doing with this company is just making decisions based on like gut and experience. You know, when it came to how to address these negative reviews about the product, or how to solve for the, sort of the high return rate that they were getting, and all these all these issues that they were dealing with. He would just make a decision based off of his gut. And so what we helped him see is that when you implement these more data-driven strategies using tools like HubSpot, what you're able to do is sort of not erase like your gut and your experience, because that's still important, but like you're able to increase the confidence when it comes to making decisions and changes and pivots. Now you're following a trail of data versus just guessing and throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks. And so
Yeah.
I don't know if that sparks anything in your imagination, but for me, it all comes back to like, where are you housing this data, and like, how are you strategizing your decisions around it? And for us and a lot of our customers, that ends up being like HubSpot. I don't know if you guys work with other tools as well, but I'd love to hear about those other tools that you're using.
Yeah, you definitely sparked an idea. So paid ads is such a small little fraction of what we do, but I think that this is just sticking on that same point of, we feel like we have this problem around paid ad conversions, but really there's so much more to the story. So that's actually, I love looking at the data that you can get from form submissions, and another reason why I love HubSpot. But for example, we work with B2B companies. So oftentimes there's an open text field in forms, a message property, or, what can we help you with type message on any sort of contact form or demo form. That is a data gold mine. So thinking about why something like an ad might not be working, one of my favorite data analysis things to do, and having all this in HubSpot, you can easily see it when you're looking at form submissions, but even taking that a step further using AI tools now, taking out any personal identifiable information, but you can easily run analysis on a ton of open text and talk about improving your conversion. So one example, a lot of the companies that we work with are leveraging AI now in their products, and it's sometimes very hard to help the users understand exactly what they can do because everyone's coming up with these very specific use cases. So in looking at all of that data analysis, one of the recommendations that we were able to make is, let's create a new conversion point that instead of just a typical sales conversation or a demo, let's use explore my use case or find my use case, and use that to inform our content strategy, our conversion strategy, our follow-up strategy, right? When we have all these leads sitting in the database that we haven't been able to nudge forward with sales. So now there are a million ways that you can do that and analyze that, but having a tool like HubSpot in place, there's no excuse to not be able to listen in every moment that you possibly can when someone's giving you their information, and use that to inform what you do with it and what your next step is.
I love that. And I love that you brought up AI. I feel like we can't not talk about AI at this point in time, because
No,
things
you
are
can't.
changing.
My favorite thing to talk about.
Yeah, because things are changing so fast. And I feel like agency owners in particular like need to be on top of this more than anybody, because you're kind of consulting your clients as to these different strategies and implementations. But tell me if you've seen this. What we've seen with our own customers is a lot of times they seem to be laggards when it comes to adopting new technologies, maybe a little bit resistant to change and that type of thing. So for us, we kind of have to play it by ear with each customer. It's not necessarily that we want to automate everything and and just completely take over what they do, but we want to be very strategic in where we implement it and make sure they're comfortable with it and make it work. Have you seen sort of that same thing in terms of a little bit of resistance to AI, or are your customers like, please help us implement AI wherever possible?
We have customers on both ends of the AI spectrum. And one of the first questions that we always ask with, actually 2 years ago at this point, we went through this with all of our existing clients. And now for everyone new that works with SmartAcre, one of the first questions that we always ask them and have them explicitly sign off on in writing is, one, do you have an AI policy? And two, what is your stance on allowing us to leverage our AI tools? Here's how we use them. Here's our AI policy. How do you feel about that? So it is really important for us to make sure that we're on the same page there. And it always surprises me many, how few companies have official AI usage policies, even at this point today.
It sounds like there definitely is room to grow when it comes to like top-down AI initiatives at companies. The employees that are tech savvy are like trying stuff for sure.
Exactly, which is terrifying. I always remind our clients of that. Is I love AI. I think it's amazing. I want to use it all the time. I am empowering my team, and as an agency, we are on that end of the spectrum. But I always do try to remind my clients, just like that forum use case, you have to be training people on what's safe because you have all of this data in a CRM, and then you have a tool like ChatGPT. Marry those two things together and amazing things can happen, but also a lot of scary things can happen too if you're not careful. So there needs to be guardrails and policies in place so then everyone is empowered to use the tools in amazing ways.
Yeah. It's like, please don't upload our intellectual property to OpenAI. Like, please don't do
Right.
that. um, well, I feel like this would be maybe a good transition point to talk a little bit about your other podcast. You host this podcast called Agency Balance, and I think the title says it all. I'd love to hear sort of like your take on where that idea came from to call it that, and then the type of discussions that you have on that podcast of yours.
Yeah. So we, as SmartAcre, we are also our small marketing team for ourselves. So, one of the beliefs of our own marketing efforts is we have to show our work. We have to demonstrate to our clients how we're doing things, not just talk about how we're doing them. So that's where agency balance came from. A few years ago, a lot of our clients were exploring new channels for sharing their message. Thought leadership continues and will continue to be such an important avenue for B2B. So we decided, you know what, if we're going to be answering questions for our clients around podcasting, we have to do it ourselves and demonstrate it. And Dave, our CEO, one of my business partners, we thought, well, let's just start with what is so easy for us to talk about: owning an agency, running an agency, and finding that balance. And the theme of balance, it applies in so many aspects of business for our clients and how we balance the relationship. So it's a path that we've gone down and we've enjoyed all of the conversations that we've had. This year, though, spoiler alert, we are considering rebranding and pivoting a little bit to the AI Balance podcast because as our agency has continued to evolve, that has been a very important and hot topic for us is how do we balance? How do we balance the robots and the people? How do we make sure that we have this loop of thought leadership and our brains, but also the balance between keeping a very humanized approach to everything that we do, which has always been true for as we talk about tools like HubSpot and automation, right? Like AI it's bringing that all to life and everyone's thinking about it. But in reality, when we were building workflows 10 years ago, we were also thinking about how can we keep the human aspect of our message as well. So coming soon this year, we will be starting to pivot that direction a little bit because I always joke with people, but when I started to realize that I was talking to AI with random people in the grocery store, we decided we should probably just pivot the podcast around it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you definitely have my full support on that rebrand. Even though I think your branding now is great, but AI is definitely the thing that is ushering in, the most amount of change and innovation for the foreseeable future. I think they're estimating like 100 years worth of innovation within the next like 10 years. So
Mhm.
there's going to be a lot of change. And as we know, change is hard, especially for business owners, agency owners. It's a hard pill to swallow to realize that like, oh, this tool might be better at this task than I am, right? So where do I fit into that equation? I think there's so many conversations that could be had around that. But one of the things that we always say, because we work with mainly HubSpot users, is we help you humanize HubSpot. Like HubSpot and CRMs and these AI tools are all about automation. They're all about making things easier for you. But you still need to be that expert in the room that knows your customers better than anyone. And you
Hmm.
still need to, when it comes to the creative side, you still need to be that taste maker. AI doesn't have good taste. It has plenty of ideas, but it doesn't have good taste, right? Like you still need to be that person that makes the decision, yes or no, on this output that came from AI, right? And so, yeah, I think there's just so many topics, so many conversations that could be had around that, especially as adoption increases and as AI skills get better. And yeah, that's super cool.
Hmm. Yep. But completely agree with that. I always tell my creative director he can teach me how to prompt any AI tool, whether it's Nano Banana or ChatGPT. Any image that he creates is always going to be a million times better than mine because he's a creative director and I am not. And he has the taste. He has that knowledge and training that surpasses me in that area. I would like to think if I was writing a strategy or content and we are both prompting, I would maybe do a better job than him, but we haven't done that test yet.
Yeah, you got to have like some kind of competition where you can measure that, and then do a prompt off, kind of like you used to do those like typing speed tests and like see who could type the
Yeah,
fastest. It's like who can
exactly.
prompt better. Well, Lisa, it's been awesome getting to know you. Um, I love what you guys are doing at SmartAcre. I love your podcast and the idea to rebrand it so it's more AI focused. And I wish you all the success in the world, and everyone that's trying to make this AI transition. There's a lot of challenges ahead, but I'm so optimistic about the future. Like I get excited when I learn that AI has got this new skill or this new capability. I get excited about that. I don't get scared. I'm just like embrace the change. So
Same.
it's kind of my
I
attitude.
Yeah, I tell my team all the time if nothing changes, nothing changes. What a cool time to be a marketer. We're learning all these new things. We have a little grace more so than, a couple years ago when everyone's like, this is the playbook, this is what we have to do, this is the process. Now there's a lot of creativity. There's a lot to learn. And I think that that's so exciting. And we have all these cool tools that can help us learn at a speed that we've never been able to learn before.
Exactly.
Nothing changes, nothing changes. If you don't embrace it, then you're just gonna fall behind.
Right. Like I'm not a particularly technical person, but I'm like vibe coding now on the weekends. Like, and it's
Same.
so much fun. I'm like, this is the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, my developers might hate it, but I'm like, but look at this prototype. Look at this idea that we've been able to bring to a client and get them excited about, which before they wouldn't conceptually maybe get what we're talking about. But now I have it. They're excited. I can show you exactly what we want to do. Let's go do it. Let's go make some cool stuff.
Yeah, love it. Well, Lisa, again, thank you so much for taking the time. It's been great getting to know you. Is there a place that people can go to reach you? Some links that we can add to the description here.
Yeah, of course, you can check out our website, getsmartacre.com. You can find me on LinkedIn, Zwikl. I tend to talk as much as possible about AI and the work that we're doing at SmartAcre there, and also about being a mom. So if you're a working parent, I also got that going on. That's why I have a cold right now. But otherwise, yeah, if anyone has any questions, I always love to connect with like-minded marketers, HubSpot enthusiasts, and I'll also be at Inbound this year, which I'm pumped about.
Fun. Back in Boston.
Yep, back in Boston.
Well, good luck. Well, thanks again. We'll see you.
Yep. Thank you. Thanks, Andy.